Good morning, everyone. How are you? The crew's all here. Welcome, welcome. Today we're gonna work some breath work and we're gonna do a more active practice. So I hope that you are ready for it. We're gonna sit for the first part of it. If your hips aren't feeling it, then I definitely want you to just get yourself a chair or a comfortable seated position. I'm trying something new. It could be complete hooey. It's called an earthing mat. It's supposed to help you ground. I'll let you know how it goes. It's been said to be good for people with inflammation. I'm desperate, no. I'm just trying out whatever I can. So I don't know if you've ever, earthing is the act of being connected to the ground, usually walking barefoot or laying in the grass, something like that, so that you get kind of those positive ions in your body, reconnecting you know, supporting your entire system. Again, like we're really straddling the line between like science and spirituality. I like to be in the straddling of the line between science and spirituality. I think it makes it a lot more fun. So here we are, just in case you wonder. In addition, today I have a Pilates piece of equipment. I don't know if you can all see this. It's essentially a pinwheel. It's a very expensive pinwheel. It's called a breathicizer, and it was invented by Joseph Pilates, who is the inventor of Pilates, to encourage endurance of the breathing apparatus. And so I'm going to use this today to just kind of detail and animate the process. I asked you in the comments to gather a straw. If you don't have a straw, you can honestly just pretend that you're blowing through a straw. The intention with our breathwork practice today is to really feel a bit of a sense of pressure for some of the exercises, meaning that if you can imagine kind of having a balloon that's full up, you tie the balloon off and it's fine, and you put a pinprick, a hole in the balloon. The air is going to leave a little less swiftly, meaning you're going to have to press and use a little external force to press that air out, because the aperture, the opening where the air is escaping from, is very small. Versus if you blow up a balloon, just let it go, it leaves quickly because the aperture is bigger. So in our cases, we're gonna play around with being really free with our breath and also really concentrated using the core musculature to support the active breathing. Now, as we start and as you're getting comfortable, I want to remind you that if you are breathing currently, living, unless you are a ghost, but if you are living and breathing right now, you are breathing correctly, okay? We need to work from a premise. There are so many movement teachers out in the world saying that people are breathing wrong. And you know what? Like, we're all doing the best we can in a highly stressful, anxiety-ridden time in our lives. If you're breathing, intaking oxygen, outputting the exchange of carbon dioxide, great, good for you, good job. The focus today is not to make something wrong right, which it never is on this channel. Instead, it's to expand your awareness surrounding the possibilities. For some of you, you might learn how to inhale a bit bigger or take in more air. For others, you might learn that, hey, you can exhale a little bit more fully and get maybe some core integration. Either way, you're right. Either way, you are right in your breath, okay? This is coming from someone who has sat next to people in the hospital struggling with lung cancer, focusing on getting their breath right and getting anxious about the breathing apparatus, when in truth, breath is about presence and allowing it to happen. And so I share that because, you know, it was a client of mine who was in the hospital, and we were just working, and she was just so hell-bent on meeting a number, and while those metrics and measurements are important, etc., when we finally worked to a place where she could just find calm and release the expectation of performance, she started to breathe deeper, and she started to feel more of a satisfying experience with breath. So that's my hope for you today. So your straw's nearby, we're plugged in, we're gonna have our hands on our knees. We're gonna begin just with a little circling around the pelvic bowl. So we wanna shift our weight into the left sitting bone, shifting forward. If you're seated in a chair, you can do this too. Shifting to the right and shifting back. And just think about if you were sitting in sand, whether you're in a chair or on the mat, if you were sitting in the sand, you'd be kind of making a little oval indentation into the ground. Some of our ovals are going to be bigger, some of our ovals are going to be smaller, some are going to be very pretty, succinct, defined. Others are going to look like an amoeba. Let your oval be what it needs to be right now, okay? Oh. And just breathe how you need to. Sometimes we need a little sigh. I have the unique, I'm not going to call it a privilege because it is not a privilege. I have the unique opportunity. I don't even know, there's a different word for it. I'm privy to a lot of behind the scenes conversations that happen in terms of movement teachers, and we're all so ridiculously stuck on perfection. It's just like we need to get out of our own way. So I'm a little frustrated with the profession at large. And just, the idea of optimizing. You are optimized. How do we help you become more of you instead of more of like some, perfect ideal being? She's on the soapbox today, you all. Good. Let's reverse the direction of our circles. So as we're doing this, this is a means of just kind of claiming into our space. We're feeling the base of our pelvis, which is certainly important to be aware of. We are going to talk a little bit about the mechanics of breath, because I think it's important that we understand what's happening to a degree. Wow. Good. Couple more rounds like this. Hopefully it's releasing you. Good. Let's come back to center. Incidentally, we're going to repeat that tomorrow with a little fun meditation attached to it. This time, keep your pelvis still and just do a little rib circle. Imagine that you have a hula hoop around you and you're just doing kind of a slow motion. I don't think Christina is here, but if she is, as always, be mindful about moving in ranges that feel good as opposed to ones that feel like you should move in them. Good. Let's do one more little rib circle here. Why are we doing this? Let's reverse directions. We're warming up the breathing apparatus. So we've got our pelvic floor, which we sometimes don't even realize is part of the breathing process. We've got our diaphragm, which exists at the base of the rib cage, kind of this umbrella-like material. My sister-in-law is an anatomy professor, and one time at a previous job, she asked me if I wanted to go stir the tanks at work, which meant go get the cadavers ready for her class the next day. I know, it's Halloween, just go with it. Good, last one. And so I was like, hell yeah, I do. All right, so I want you to just take your right ear to your right shoulder, just open up your neck. Take a breath here. And so I share this because one of the most interesting pieces, let's bring our head back to center, let's say interesting aspects of the body was the quality of the tissue of the diaphragm. Because of course I was looking at all the Pilates muscles, right? So it's this kind of smooth balloon-like structure that kind of goes zoom, zoom, all smooth enough to like allow air to exist above it and also give gentle pressure to what lies below it. All right, let's go one more time each side. I'm glad you love my TED Talks. Also, thank you so much for everybody who has written a review and or ordered the book. It's pretty fun. I'm still figuring out how to find all the things behind the scenes, but it's been really amazing seeing everything come through. All right, lift your shoulders up. Big breath in. Lower your shoulders all the way down into your back. We'll do that a couple more times, lifting up. So back to the diaphragm. The diaphragm is a lot of things, but I like to think of it as like a transition between your upper and lower hemispheres. It's like, I was gonna say a toll, but it's not really, like, there's no barrier. It's the middle. You know, it's what connects you. It's how your breath translates down to your lower body. Last one. So we have our nose and our mouth in most cases. The air comes in and the brain signals the diaphragm to pull down on your lungs, creating a vacuum that sucks the air down through the tubes into all the little alveoli, into like this, almost like bunches of grapes in your lungs that pulls down and expands. The diaphragm pulls down, the rib cage pulls out, the lungs get bigger because more air enters in. That's your inhalation. When this all happens, you get a little bit of a massage to your intestines, your stomach, all your internal organs essentially. And that's why sometimes in breath work you feel like you need to use a bathroom or your digestion gets bigger, better, or more quick, and etc. It's like this downward massaging pressure. So inhale, down and out. Exhale reverses the process. We start to breathe out. The diaphragm is contracting down, it contracts upward to put pressure on the lungs from below. The ribs contract inward to pressure on the lungs from the side. The air travels up and out and everything feels a little lifted. Okay? So we're gonna take our hands right here to just pantomime some breathing. As we breathe in, I want you to imagine that you're pulling the air down to the level of your hands and then continue. Our in-breath will look like this. And our out breath will go. Okay, we're gonna try for 4 counts like this. Here we go. Out breath. In breath. Take it in slow, not all at once. Out breath. In breath. Out breath. Stay with this cadence. Now, as you're breathing, just keep breathing down and imagine that you could send that inhale all the way out to the sides of your torso and then up all the way to the top. Let's do a couple more. Breathing in. Pulling, 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 pulling. And again. And good. Rest. Rest your hands. Now, it's reminding me of a shape of an anchor in a sense, which also brings into mind the fact that your breath can indeed anchor your movement, meaning that you can feel stable as you move other parts of your body. And just to illustrate that point, hold your breath and lift your right arm up. So for a lot of us, there's kind of a hard end range. Now breathe in and lift your right arm up. Feel the difference? Yeah, okay. So let's just do a couple more little motions here. We're gonna take an inhale, thinking about finding our center, breathing in and down, and then exhale, reach over to the side. Breathe back in, picture that anchor coming up to the center. Exhale, reaching out to the side. Not surprisingly, I used to teach nothing but breath work. Let's go again. Breathing in. And breathing out. and it's hard to cue and breathe. Breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe back in. Hands come onto your knees. Exhale, round your spine. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, round. Now at any point, if you start to get dizzy, just take a shallow breath. Stop breathing on purpose. Breathe in as you lift up. Let your body recalibrate. We're just exercising the apparatus. Again, this isn't right or wrong, breathing in as you lift up. Just an opportunity. Just like you can do a bicep curl without a weight, but you can add weight to your bicep curl and you'll have an opportunity to strengthen. Same. One more time, exhale. Inhale. We're gonna go back on our exhale. Breathe in, look over your right shoulder, turn your spine. Back on your exhale. I know it's a lot to think about, just do your best. At the very least, just breathe, yeah? Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. One more time, exhale. And come all the way back to center. All right, we're gonna do a little exercise to encourage some more endurance and some more volume of our breath, which is the amount of air we're taking in. So let's say we're going to do an exercise called Ron's clock, named for Ron Fletcher. Down here is gonna be our number 1. Up to the top is gonna be our number 12, okay? It doesn't work out exactly with the clock, but go with me on this one. So let's just test drive breathing in 1 to 12. As you take your inhale in, you want to think about passing through 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then exhaling all the way down. All right, are you ready? Here we go. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. One more time, breathe in. Keep going. Breathe out. Relax. All right, so now we're gonna breathe in just to like 1 and breathe out 1. Then we'll breathe in 1, 2, breathe out 2, 1. Breathe in 1, 2, 3, breathe out 3, 2, 1. This is about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Kind of, sort of, hopefully. If nothing, follow along. You're gonna be sniff, sniff, blow, blow. Okay? This is absolutely one that can make you dizzy because you're bringing in a lot more oxygen that you normally take. So if you need to make your breath a little shallow, then go for it. Try not to breathe in all the breath on the first inhale of any number. So think about if you're going to 6, you don't want to go because you'll have nothing left to breathe. You want to just take little sips of air. I know it's a lot of information coming at you, but let's give it a whirl. All right, breathe in and out for nothing. Inhale. Exhale all the way down. Breathe in for 1. Breathe out. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. 12. 1 to 12. 12 to 1. 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 Shake it out. How did you do? Who's dizzy? I'm dizzy. All right, we are going to take our straw, or breathe like you have a straw. We're gonna come down onto your back, all the way down, and just rest yourself for a moment. Hopefully the ions are flowing. It was hard breathing, yeah. So it's really a good gauge, and like, let me qualify, a couple decades of doing this breath work is what I have in my body. And I even struggled at 12. So I know when I'm like really in my breathing practice, 12 is accessible. When I haven't been doing like a robust breathing practice, it gets more challenging. So if you found that like 1 to 4 was pretty easy, then that's where you work until you can add in 5 and feel better about 5, and so on and so forth, okay? So we've got our straw. Right now we're gonna take a breath in and we're gonna breathe out, and the goal for you is to keep breathing out and pressing the air out through your straw. For me, it's to move the pinwheel. For you, it's just to keep going. Ideally, we're going like 10 seconds, somewhere in there. It's just to start to feel the air empty as we're on our back. So we'll breathe in, and then when you're ready, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Now keep breathing with your straw in and out. At some point, you might feel like you're starting to engage your abdominal muscles. When you feel that happening at the end of your exhalation, not at the beginning, I want you to just hover 1 foot off. So it goes out breath, I wait to feel my abdominals engage. When I feel that, I hover my foot off, and then I lower down, and we'll do the other side. All right, so if you're exhaling, finish up your exhale, take your inhale, breathe all the way out, feel your abdominals, keep breathing, lift that foot up, and then lower it down as you breathe in. Breathe out until you feel them. Lift your foot up when you do, and lower down. Let's do it again. Breathe in, breathe out. Good. Now, a lot of us, when we do this work, rest for a second, take your breath, we go into this place where the focus is on the leg, we lift the leg up, we get up there, suddenly our back's arched, it feels weird to our back, so we brace our back, then we brace our chest, then we brace our neck, then we're not breathing at all, and we've done the exercise, but have we really done the exercise? So we want to think about the leg as a weight on the breathing apparatus, which includes all the things we talked about before, and then lastly, the outermost layer, well, innermost layer of your abdominals, but outermost layer from the breathing perspective is your abdominal wall. It is kind of the last thing that happens. So your diaphragm, then your lungs, then your rib cage, then your abdominals. I hope this is making sense. So what I want you to try here is bring your feet side by side. Feel your inner thighs touching. We're gonna breathe out all the way till the abdominals engage, and then we're gonna try to lift both legs up and see how that works on our abdomen, okay? Let's give it a whirl. Deep breath in, breathe out, wait for it. When you feel them engage, try to keep them engaged as you lift your feet off, and then lower when you need to inhale. Exhale fully. Lift up when you need to or when you can. And lower. 2 more times like this. Exhale. Find it. And lower. Notice I'm lifting like not even a full inch, yeah? Deep breath in. And lower. All right. I'd love to know how that's going for you in the chat. I know it's challenging. It's a lot of thought process. We're not going to do this every week, but it's just to give you an option to come back to. Now we're going to work our abdominal curl with our breath. So we want to take a deep breath in here. Keep using your straw if you are using one. If not, just keep blowing out as if you are. It's a deep breath. As you exhale, start to breathe out. Start to lift your head and keep breathing out. And keep blowing out until you get to the abdominal curl that's yours today. So wherever your spine wants to bend to is where you're going to curl up to. And then we're going to inhale to lower all the way back and do it again. All right, so take your breath in. Feel your sternum slide. Curl all the way up. And then inhale to lower down. Exhale. And breathe in. And again. Do you have a little more to breathe out? And breathe in. One more time. And breathe in. All right. Oh my goodness. It's a lot to process. Well, remember that skinny is not the option or not the objective. The objective is optimizing, right? So we want to try to get to this place where our body's working well and can stabilize all of the functions, which sometimes will remove weight if we haven't been using the things in their proper way. But I'll tell you what, more than that, much more important than that is like that feeling that I can do the exercise versus I'm struggling through it, right? So let's take our arms up and we're just gonna do the same kind of focus. So deep breath in, exhale, curl forward. Stay at the top. And now as you breathe in, lift one leg up and lower it down. Lift the other up and lower it down. I know, Tracy. I get it. I just always want to give us an opportunity to kind of like acknowledge that, you know, what we've grown up with is definitely the focus on that, right? So we want to keep thinking about, like, how can we expand the focus? Because I'm not gonna lie, it's there for me too. I grew up in a dance studio, believe me. It's there. One more each side. Last one. Good. And lower all the way down. All right, one more time. Deep breath in. Exhaling, curling. Here we go, lifting leg. Every time you exhale, it's an opportunity to deepen into your shape. So filling up your back. Two more. Last one. And lowering all the way down. All right, we felt that, didn't we? Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, Colleen. This is because the abdominal muscles are part of the breathing apparatus. Using your breath purposefully can absolutely help, okay? Let's rock ourselves up. I wanna do a couple other things. You can use your straw again. Often one of the things that, sometimes the ceiling falls down in this place. Often one of the things that Pilates teachers will do is they'll teach the out breath with the straw and like a forward fold, like so, really like we just did, with the intention of continually blowing the air out. So we're gonna look at a 10-second breath and just see what that feels like. On your inhale, it's like you're sucking in as much breath as you can. On your exhale, you're breathing out for the 10 seconds, okay? We're gonna start in 3, breathe in, go. And release. So with the breathalyzer, it's a matter of keeping the pinwheel going. If you had like a kid's pinwheel, that works too, but it's a matter of spinning it out through those 10 seconds. That was a 10-second breath. Let's try it one more time. So deep breath in. Ready? Go. Stop. And relax. And there's all these other measurements that we do, breathing nerd measurements of, like, you can do a tape measure, like a fabric tape measure, and put it around. And the idea is that as you exhale, you go down, gosh, I think it was like at least 10 centimeters. You closed your ribs 10 centimeters to get the most out of the exhale, as like the biggest flex there is of your rib cage. It's not again, like none of this is necessary for life. It's a conditioning of your breathing apparatus. So if it's hard, it's not that you're weak, it's just that you haven't ever challenged yourself in this way. And like, in all honesty, why would you? Because life is pretty easy to just breathe through, you know? It's not super, super hard. All right, so let's come on our hands and knees. And I want you to think about that kind of front to back relationship between your rib cage on the front and your rib cage in the back. So as we take our breath in here, and we exhale, you're gonna think about the ribs rounding up, or the back rounding up, and the front of the ribs coming to the back of the ribs as you breathe all of your air out through the spine. So we'll breathe in, reaching chest forward. Breathe out. Keep breathing, keep breathing, keep breathing, keep breathing. Hug the front ribs to the back ribs until you can't anymore, and then breathe in. And exhale. And again, breathe in. And exhale. And then come to center. So when you're in center, you should be able to breathe pretty evenly, front, back, side to side. We're gonna take this is breathing. We're gonna take one leg back and tuck the toes under, and then just stay here for a moment and just experiment with 2 deep breaths. So as you breathe in, feel like you're expanding front, back, side to side. As you exhale, feel the air empty. You can go back to that anchor image as you breathe in through your nose, down through your torso to your pelvis, out through your mouth. Let's do one more. And exhale. All right, you can stay here and or switch legs and or find your plank position. So if you're finding your plank, you don't want anything else to shift, pressing back through your heels, and then just 2 rounds of breath, breathing in front, back, side. Exhale, finding the connection. Think about that anchor. Last one. Lower down to your knees. I think I did 3 and I said 2, that's okay. And come all the way down onto your abdomen. All right, so legs nice and long, arms out nice and wide. And then what we're gonna do here is just think about filling up the front of your chest with air as much as possible, because this can really help us in our extension. So imagine that there's kind of a balloon that you wanna fill up. The same things are happening in your body, but we're just directing space to happen in our chest. So breathe into your sternum, lift your chest up as much as it wants to, and then exhale, release. And again, breathe in. Let that air bubble do its job, right? Last 2. And one more. As you lower down to you, your hands are just off your. We're gonna breathe in and do the same thing, but then add a little arm pressure to lift up a little higher. So breathe into your chest. Keep breathing in, lift, and then exhale all the way down. I hope that this makes your back bends feel a little bit easier. So breathe into the chest. And exhale. Again. Thinking of our eye focus from a few weeks ago, looking at the sky. Let's do one more. All the way down. All right. Go ahead and take a rest pose for a moment. Okay. So we're going to do a little bit of standing work to integrate the breath. For anybody who struggles with core connection, balance, even incontinence, this can be a really good exercise to just consider to integrate your core work as you're moving throughout your day. In the event that you are somebody who is like struggling with what's called hypertonic pelvic floor, where you've been told you need to relax a little bit more, this one is probably not going to be for you. But on the whole, I find that the people who are like hypertonic usually are like the kind of heavy runners, athletic, gymnast, dancer, you know, ones who like kind of type A. But for most of us, we can do with a little bit more strategy. So the exercise is called blow before you go. and it has nothing to do with using the restroom. It's blow before you move. So if you're getting up out of a chair, the idea is that you exhale before you stand. Rising up out of bed, a concentrated exhale before you stand. For our purposes, we're gonna do a squat and then start our exhale before we start to stand. Same thing can be applied to a lunge, you know, anything before. It could be applied to a step, to going up the stairs. It's to stimulate the whole breathing apparatus to activate on our exhale, okay? So let's take our kind of squat stance. We're gonna breathe in as we go down. So when you're ready, take your breath in and just go into your squat. Start exhaling. Finish the exhale as you stand up, okay? It's gonna be a little coordinated, but let's just go for a couple rounds, all right? So breathe into squat. Blow out first. Continue the exhale the whole way up. Four more. One more. Good. How did that feel? Let's come back down to a seated position. So I wanted you to feel that because it is one of those exercises that maybe by the 4th or 5th round, you could feel that your lower abdomen or just your abdominals in general were starting to contract a little bit before we exhale. So we're gonna finish with 2 breathing exercises that exist on opposite ends of the spectrum. One is breath of fire, which is a warming, energizing breath. And then one is a calming, physiological sigh. The breath of fire is wonderful to work with when you need a pick-me-up, when you need to refocus, when you need to sharpen in and just like hone in on, get your energy high and centered. If you are more on the end of anxiety, it might not be your favorite one, but when you have control over it, it's good. Like personally, if I were going to do a speaking engagement or teach a class, I would not do breath of fire beforehand. Maybe in the morning, but not right before I went on stage. It would bring me up here, okay? The other physiological sigh is meant to help regulate our nervous system and just kind of like bring us back to earth if we feel like we're floating out. So we're gonna take one hand on our belly, and breath of fire is pretty simple in that you're breathing into your hand to pull that air in, expand your abdomen with the breath. And on the exhale, you're gonna do, the way we describe it is a little snap back of the belly, a little pull back of your abdominal wall away from your hand. So when we're at full tempo, it sounds like this. Okay? Now, if you're somebody who is recovering from an abdominal surgery, has digestive issues, is on your menstrual cycle, things that are already causing like some inflammation, you don't want to go hard on this one, okay? If you are, if you're not struggling with any of those, you can just test drive it. It's gonna get really breathy, all right? So let's start it slow and then we'll pull it up. Take your hand onto your abdominal wall. Nice, easy breath in through the nose and out through the nose. In through the nose, out through the nose. In. A little faster. A little faster. Start to pick it up. Faster. Go for it. Breathe in, reach your arms overhead. Breathe out. It's hard to cue that and do it correctly the whole time. Breathe in. And breathe out. All right. Some of us are swirly, some of us are up here in our heads, a lot of breath high into the sinuses. Sometimes we feel a little disconnected, feels a little dizzy, so slow down your breathing. And we're gonna finish with 2 inhales that build upon each other and a long sigh exhale, all right? Ready? Breathe in more, and out all the way. Breathe in. Couple more. Breathe in 2 times. If you wanna breathe in. One more. And just relax for a minute. Often the vocalization actually helps. Yes, so I see Colleen's comment, the oxygenation. Yeah, we've taken in probably a lot more oxygen than you are used to in the span of 45 minutes. We've done a lot of work. I want to remind you to hydrate as much as possible. You might feel like your mouth is a little dry right now. Breath is dehydrating. A breathwork practice can be dehydrating. And so you want to replace that hydration just like you sweat. It's still, the air that we're moving into and out of is often moist from the hydrating factors in our body. So just remember to up your water intake a little bit today because I don't want you to feel dehydrated. Yes. Yeah. So listen, this is a personal journey for me as well, where I'm really looking to create a dialogue that focuses less on like what was in terms of my past and the way the body and the tissues were, and more on support of the right here and now. So the challenging thing is that often we equate abdominal strength with washboard abs. And I'm here to tell you that on the regular, having trained elite athletes, power lifters, the one that you could grate cheese off of their stomach, if that's a thing, that is one kind of strength that is largely based on lifting very heavy weights and restricting your calories. It is not the type of strength that helps you get your groceries into the car, close the car door. For some people, getting up and out of a wheelchair, it's not that strength. It is a very aesthetic-based training modality strength. I know what it takes to be in that space of training. It's all day, every day, no other life, no daily delights, no satiating foods, no time for connection with other people. It is a very one-track sort of strength. And as we age, our body naturally provides cushioning for a couple of different reasons. One, we are going to lose muscle mass as we get older, and our bone density is going to lessen. That is inevitable. Right about age 35, the bone density starts to decline. And in the upper 60s, 70s is when we run into a place of sarcopenia where the muscle mass starts to decline. However, when we work concentrated on sending invitations to specific parts of the body, thinking about how the body functions as a whole, we start training for our life. Now, it doesn't always mean that we're going to look the way the magazines and the infomercials and the Hollywood people tell you to. And that's because they are doing things they're not telling you about. They are injecting things, they are on diets, they have a meal plan, they are getting paid in essence to look that way. And so are a lot of fitness instructors. They're getting paid to represent a product, to look a certain way. They're restricting, they are not allowing themselves joy of food, they are doing a very regimented exercise program, they're working through pain. This is not quality of life. Not even by a long shot, for me. I don't want to judge somebody else's life. But that's why, you guys, I'm here for free on this channel promoting a message that does not get the visibility at all, if not nearly enough, if at all. If we focus on the aesthetic quality, the dimples, the weight, the pounds, the wrinkles, the rolls, we're missing it. We're missing it. I don't want to miss it. I spend too much of my life missing it, staring at them in the mirror, body checking, wondering if people were going to take me seriously, even though I have all of this knowledge based on the fact that I didn't bounce back from baby weight or that I got older, God forbid, like as if there's anything we can do about that. I've wasted time. There is a whole entire world that is just right there waiting for us to experience it. I want you to be able to experience it without pain, with a level of satisfaction and pleasure, with some choices surrounding thinking about like, hey, I could breathe this way or that way, or I could step with this leg or that way. I could go up a hill backwards or forwards. How interesting is that? I want that for you. I don't care what you look like while you're doing it. The only thing I care about is that your movement solicits a smile. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to challenge, because we're not living in Barbie land, utopia, where everything is perfect. We're going to run into movement challenges, but I hope that what you do with me here brings you into a space that you understand that your toolbox is full of support options for yourself. Sometimes that's going to mean rest, and sometimes it's going to mean going for it hard, and sometimes it's going to mean being sore, and sometimes it's going to mean being dehydrated, and sometimes it's going to mean knowing what to do in both of those cases. The thing is, you all, we have to stick together because our brains have been wired for years to think that what we're doing is supplementary. What we're doing is the main deal. What we're doing is life support. The aesthetic, diet, fitness culture is not indicative of a fully well-lived life. And I know it because I've lived it and because I'm surrounded by it on the regular. If I could expose the conversations that I have almost every single day with fitness professionals that are worried about what they look like, or that are engaged in disordered eating, or that are living without experiencing joy for fear of what that might look like to an outside world that is comfortable with them being a certain shape, size, oftentimes color, oftentimes gender. It's happening behind closed doors. We're going to expose it. We need to be upfront and say, no, I'm going to do this because I like the way I feel in my body. I'm going to do this because I want a relationship with myself that feels nurturing. I want to be partnering with myself instead of battling with myself. We've all spent far too many years doing that. So, you got the full TED Talk today. You had the full unabridged TED Talk today. Every day I wake up, I have an argument with myself about how the day is going to go. It takes courage to choose differently than the messages that have been downloaded in my mind since probably I was born. It takes courage to stand in a room with other people and say, that doesn't fly with me. But you know what? The communities that we're creating are nothing short of miraculous, both here in my studio, teaching in Chicago. They're miraculous because we are dying to hear that there's a space that supports this message. So my friends, I love you. I love the fact that you're willing to go to places that don't always make sense to your body with me. It's maybe one of the most courageous things that you can do with yourself. And the ability to be with yourself is pretty bleeping great. It lets you have those moments of pleasure with Halloween candy or cookies that maybe you wouldn't have allowed yourself to have otherwise. And it also says, what would be nourishing to us today? Let's go there, okay? Listen, if you haven't signed up for my Hormone Health Challenge, it's open. I want you to think about, it's free. It's jennazaffino.com/fall renewal, fall renewal 23. In any case, it's just gonna give you some information. We just need to be better informed about this, and we need to be thinking about it in a way that is life support. All right, I'm gonna see you tomorrow. We're gonna do a great moving meditation, all moving meditations tomorrow. Drink water, have a good